Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make a cropped top with long bell sleeves. I'll be using this milk cotton yarn as well as a 4.5mm crochet hook. I'll also leave links in the description box below on where you can get these items. Now we're going to get started by working on the bodice of the top. You'll see here where we have 3 panels, 1, 2, 3, and I'll be using 2 different colors as I showed you before, with one color used for the end panels and then one color used in the middle. Now this bodice will wrap pretty much around your torso, with the colors here and here falling to the back and the color in the middle falling to the front. Now you'll also see little holes here right at the ends. That's because we'll be doing a drawstring at the back to keep our top closed. Now I'll be using this doll as an example to show you what I did to get the measurements for my bodice. Now you can go ahead and take a tape measure like this, and you're gonna go from top to bottom here to kind of measure from above your bust going down to measure how long you want your top to be. Now I'll be making a cropped version of this, so mine will be a bit short, but yours can be as long as you want, and based on the length of the tape measure here, that will determine how many chains you'll use to start. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started with this color here for my first panel. I'm going to start by making a slip knot. And you can make your slip knot in whichever way is most comfortable for you. And then I'm going to make 37 chains. Now depending on how long you'd like your bodice to be, that will determine the number of chains that you have, as I demonstrated before, but your chains also have to be an odd number of stitches. So I'll be doing 37 as my odd number of chain stitches. To do a chain stitch, you simply yarn over and pull the yarn through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to go ahead and continue doing chains until I have 37 stitches in total. Now once you have the number of chains that you'd like to start with, we're going to start by skipping the first 3 chains. So this is our first chain right here, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip the first 3 chains, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the 4th chain. Now before I do that double crochet stitch, I'm going to place a marker on the first chain because that's where the round will begin. Sometimes this gets a bit confusing, so if you're a beginner, I would recommend putting a marker here. So again, in the 4th chain, which is here, we're going to do a double crochet. To do a double crochet, yarn over your hook like this. And then we're going to insert our hook inside the stitch, pulling up a loop. That's going to leave us with 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull the yarn through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. So we'll have 2 stitches here at the end. Now once you have that, chain 1 and skip the next chain, which is here. And in the chain stitch beside it, we're going to do a double crochet. So again, we yarn over a hook, insert it into the chain, pulling up a loop. So that's going to leave us with 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull the yarn through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. Now by doing that, you'll be leaving a space here. Now the spaces created will be for our drawstring, which we'll be creating as well to close the bodice of the top. So now again, we're just going to repeat that going across the row. So chain 1, skip the next chain here, and in the chain stitch beside it, we'll do a double crochet. chain 1, skip the chain beside it, and in the next chain do a double crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip this chain here, and in the next stitch we do a double crochet. And just go ahead and continue doing this, going across the row until we have 2 stitches remaining. Now closer to the end of the row, I've done a chain 1 stitch here, which means that I'll be skipping the next stitch, which falls right here, this chain right here, which leaves us with 2 chains at the end. Now at the end there, I'm just going to go ahead and do a double crochet in each stitch. 1 here and 1 in the final stitch here as well. Now once done, go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and turn your work. Now if you're a beginner, you can place a marker on the top chain here because that's where the row will end, and that's where we'll be doing the last stitch of the round. Now we're going to do 1 double crochet on each stitch going across the row. The 2 chains that we did will count as our first stitch, which aligns with this stitch here. So we're going to go ahead and do our second stitch in this stitch right here. To do that, yarn over, insert into the stitch and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on the hook, pull through 2 and pull through 2. So we yarn over, you're going to insert your hook into the chain 1 stitch, which is right here, like that. Pull through a loop and complete the double crochet. We're going to do the double crochets again going across the row just as we've done before. So yarn over, insert and pull up a loop and complete the double crochet. And then in the chain 1 stitch we do the same, where we yarn over, insert in the chain 1 stitch here, pulling up a loop and completing the double crochet. So you can go ahead and continue doing double crochets going all the way across the row, and I'll see you when you're at this marker here. Now closer to the end of the row, your work should look like this, and we're going to complete the row by doing double crochets. So 1 here, and we're also going to do 1 here where our marker is, so you can go ahead and remove the marker and complete a double crochet into the last stitch. Now once you're finished, you can go ahead and chain 2, so that's 1, 2, turn your work, and we're going to repeat exactly what we did in the last row in this one. Now I'm going to place my marker on the second chain because again, this is where the row will end, and it can get a bit confusing to find it. And again, these 2 stitches count as a double crochet and they fall in this stitch here. So we're going to start by doing our double crochet in the next stitch, which is here. So we yarn over and pull up a loop, pull through 2 and pull through 2. Now this is where it gets a bit easier, because this is what we'll be doing for the next few rows. So you can continue doing double crochets going across the row. Now once we get to the end of the row, we're pretty much going to do what we did on this end, where we're going to remove our marker from the stitch, and then we're going to complete the double crochet inside the space where our marker was. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn our work. We're going to place the marker back on that top chain there on the second chain, because again, that's where the row will end. And then we're going to continue doing double crochets going across the row, and again, the stitch would fall here because these 2 chains count as a stitch and fall inside our first stitch here. So we start with a double crochet, and then we continue doing double crochets across the row. Now I want to remind you that this piece works as one of our back panels. So it's this side here with the spaces on this side here. And we're going to use this part going across to complete the panel. Now to know how many rows you want to complete, you'd have to go ahead and do a rough measure of your back to see how wide you would like it to be. So again, using this doll as a model, you can go ahead and take your tape measure and just go from your sides here, going all the way across to measure how much you need. And each panel should be about half of whatever it is that you've measured. Now I'm roughly a size small, so I'll be doing 14 rows in total, and that is including our first row here. So I'll see you once I've completed those 14 rows. Now once you've completed the first panel, it should look something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and complete my last stitch where my marker is, but I'm going to do this one a bit differently because we're going to be changing the color here to complete the middle panel. So I'm going to use this color for the middle. So I'm going to start by removing my marker, and then I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the chain where my marker was, pulling up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, but I'm not going to pull through the last 2 loops here with this color yarn. I'm going to go ahead and change the color at this point. So you can take your yarn here, the new color, to complete the stitch. And then we're just going to go ahead, yarn over and pull the yarn through. Now for the middle panel, we won't be doing regular double crochets. We're going to be doing linked double crochets. And what that will do is that it will eliminate the space that you see here created by the double crochet stitch. Because it's the front panel, I don't want anything peeking out, which is why I prefer to do the linked double crochet look for the front panel. Now to do that, go ahead and chain 1 instead of 2, and then turn your work. Now we also want to bring forward the tail of the yarn here, as well as the color from the previous panel, that yarn. We're going to go ahead and cut it. Now bringing both pieces forward, the tail here and the excess yarn from this old panel, we're going to go ahead and yarn over it. Now in the first stitch, which is this stitch here, we're going to do a single crochet. To do that, insert your hook inside the stitch and pull up a loop. With 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops. Now that's how you do a single crochet. And now we're going to go ahead and start our linked double crochet. Now we're going to start by inserting our hook in the outer corner of the stitch here. So it's right here. We're going to insert our hook, pulling through a loop. Now once you've done that, go ahead and insert your hook inside the next stitch, which is here, pulling up another loop. And now that we have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Now we'll also be placing a marker on this stitch here, because that's where we'll be closing out our rounds. So right here on this stitch. Now once you've done that, we're going to continue doing the linked double crochet method going across the row. The way that we'll start is by inserting our hook right here inside the stitch right here. So again, you'll see your double crochet. We're going to insert our hook through the middle here like that, pulling through a loop. So now we have 2 loops on the hook, and then we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, pulling up a loop like this, and with 3 loops on the hook we complete the double crochet. And we're going to repeat that going across the row, so I'll do a few more. Pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pulling through a loop and completing the double crochet. So it's fairly easy to do. Again, insert it through the middle of the stitch here. We pull through a loop, then we insert our hook into the next stitch which falls here, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops, pull through those loops as well. And we're going to repeat that going across the row. Once we get to the end of the row, our linked double crochet should look something like this. And in the last stitch where we have our marker, we're going to go ahead and complete it in the same way that we've done before, where we insert our hook right here in the middle of our double crochet, the last one that we did, like that. We're going to pull through a loop, and then we're going to insert our hook into the last stitch here, so we can remove the marker, insert the hook inside the stitch, and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Now chain 1 and turn your work. For the linked double crochet, we do the next row with a chain 1. And then in this stitch right here, we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet. To do that, we're going to do it in the exact same way we did before, where we're going to insert our hook under the stitch, pulling up a loop, and with 2 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through both loops. Now we're going to start the linked double crochet pattern, and we're going to do that by working the double crochet starting here on the outer corner of our first stitch. So go ahead and insert your hook like so, yarning over and pulling up a loop, and then we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, pulling up a loop as well, and with 3 loops on the hook we can go ahead and complete the double crochet. So yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and we're going to go ahead and place the marker right here. So right here. So for the next stitch, we insert our hook right there. This line here that goes through the middle, we're going to insert our hook under it, pulling through a loop. In the next stitch, we insert the hook and pull up a loop and complete the double crochet. And then we're going to continue doing the linked double crochet going across the row. So go ahead and continue doing linked double crochets going straight through till the end. Now once we've gotten to the end of the row, remove your marker, which is here, which falls on this stitch here. Remove the marker, and we're going to complete our linked double crochet as we've done before. So pull through a loop right there, And then I like to do the stitch to the back of the stitch, so right here, pulling up a loop and completing the double crochet. Now once finished, we're going to go ahead and do the next row in the same way that we did the last. So we start by doing a chain 1, turning our work, and in the first stitch we go ahead and do a single crochet. So in this stitch here, we do a single crochet, and then to the outer corner of the stitch we insert our hook, pulling up a loop. We insert our hook under the next stitch as well, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete the double crochet. And then we're going to place our marker right back on the stitch here so that we know where the row will begin. And we'll do the linked double crochets going across in the exact same way that we did before, where we'll insert our hook under the stitch here, pulling through a loop. Then we're going to insert our hook under this stitch right here, pulling up a loop, yarning over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 to complete the double crochet. And then we're just going to repeat that going across the row. Now each of the rows for the middle panel will be done the exact same, so you can go ahead and use this technique to complete the entire section for the middle panel. Now just using our doll here as an example again, you can go ahead and take a tape measure, and you want to measure from your bust area going all the way across your sides or under your arms, and that should be on average how large this panel should be going across. So I've gone ahead and completed the middle panel here. So now I have sections 1 and 2 completed, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to add the third panel to the top here. So again, as is demonstrated in this photo, we have the first panel, which is on this side. We've just completed the middle panel using another color, and we're going to go ahead and use this same color that we started with on the panel to the end. Now before we get started on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and complete my last stitch. So I'm going to start by doing the linked double crochet here. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove my marker, pulling through a loop. But just as we did when we changed the colors before, I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, but I'm not going to complete the double crochet with this color. I'm going to go ahead and change the color. So you can wrap that around your finger, yarn over and pull it through the last 2 loops. And then you want to chain 2, so that's 1, 2, and turn your work. Now once you change the color, we're going to resume doing the regular double crochet pattern that we did in the very beginning. So now the row will start with a chain 2. We'll also be doing a double crochet in our next stitch, which falls here. So not this stitch, because our chain 2 will count as a double crochet. We're going to do our next double crochet in this stitch here. We can also go ahead and place our marker back on the second chain. So this is for my beginners, and again, this will help you to keep track of where the row begins and ends. So go ahead and yarn over, and in the next stitch complete a double crochet. And we're going to be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going across the row. Now while doing this, ensure that you are yarning over any excess yarn so that you hide it. And you can do that while doing the double crochets going all the way across the row. And what we want to do is have 1 double crochet in each stitch going across. Now once you've gotten to the end of the row, go ahead and remove your marker and complete a double crochet in that last stitch where our marker was, and then make a chain 2. So that's 1, 2. Turn your work. You can go ahead and place your marker back on that second chain, and then we're just going to go ahead and do double crochets going across the row. So a double crochet here and here, and in each stitch that follows, going all the way across. Now we'll be repeating this double crochet pattern, which we've already done, so you should be familiar with this, until we have the same amount of rows here as we do in the beginning. So depending on the amount of rows that you completed when the project started, you want to have the same amount of rows on this end as well. Now once you've gotten to your last row, we're going to do that in the same way we did the first, where we created the spaces where we're going to go ahead and put our drawstring for the back. So on this side, we're going to start as we normally do by chaining 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to turn our work, and in the next stitch, which is here, we're going to do a double crochet. So complete your double crochet. Once done, you can go ahead and chain 1, and you're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch beside it, complete a double crochet, chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch beside it, do a double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and in the stitch beside it we do a double crochet. And we're pretty much going to continue doing this going across the row. So go ahead and continue that until we have 2 stitches remaining. So I just created my last chain 1 stitch, so I'm going to skip this stitch here, and in the stitch beside it I'm going to do a double crochet. And then where my marker is, I'm going to remove that. And in that stitch, I'm going to create my last double crochet of the row. And this is how we'll be ending this part of the project. Now, what's important at this stage is that you have the same amount of holes created here on this side as we would have created in the beginning. Once you have the same amount, that means that you have done the exact right count and that we're ready to go ahead and start our sleeves as well as our shoulders. Now this is how the bodice of my work looks so far. And this also concludes part 1 of this video. In part 2, I'll be showing you how to create the sleeves, the shoulders, and the drawstrings for the back of this blouse. So go ahead and tune in. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, and I'll also link it in the cards above. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments and I'll get right back to you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.